Hello, Year 2 students. My name is Ella and we're at lesson 56. Today's lesson will be exploring money. So you will need your learning book, your thinking caps, and away we go. Let's start with a warm-up. Now let's have a quick look at our hundreds, tens, and ones. What number do we see here? Let's have a close look at it. Something's going on here, isn't it? And I can see that they're in groups of 3. So let's have a think if I can skip count or collect how many groups of 3. 3, 1 lot, 2 lots, 3 lots, 4 lots, 5 lots of 3. Okay. I can see another pattern. I can see 5, 5, and 5. So either way, I think I can add this number up to be 5, 10, 15. 15 ones. Who remembers what we need to do next? 15 ones. I think we need to take a group of 10. Remember, 10 of these is one of those. So we'll take a group of 10 and we'll put that group into our tens column. Now that makes more sense, doesn't it? What is this number? Let's have a look together. 5, a group of 5 and a group of 2, 7, and I can see we've got a lovely group, 2 and 2 is 4. So my friends, the answer is 475. Our number today is 475. Well done. I hope you had that too. Great warm-up. Let's move into today's lesson. So today's learning intention is to describe and order Australian coins and notes. And we'll know that we can do this when we place Australian coins and notes in order according to their value. So let's have a look at what I've got down here. We're going to play some money detectives today. So we need to have a really close look at what's going on and what we can see in our Australian currency, our Australian money. So the first thing we'll have a look at are the animals, our native animals. So what can we see? We can see, I think you've seen these as well, a platypus. We can see a beautiful bird here, a lyrebird. And I can see an echidna. So there's 3 animals I can see on our Australian coins. All right, let's have a look at something else. What are the other coins that we have available to us? So we can see we've got 6 different coins to look at in the Australian coins. So what do we have here? Well, we've got the special animals. And we can also see there's something called heads and tails. You might have heard that before, heads and tails. So what we have here are all the tails. Let's have a look at the heads. They are all of Queen Elizabeth II. Now, Queen Elizabeth II is the Queen of the Commonwealth countries. She lives in England and she is the head of the state in Australia. And we can see, if we look closely enough, we can see some older pictures of her when she was younger in 1970, 1980. Sometimes you can find those coins. And here's a lovely one, 1974. She looks quite young there, doesn't she? She's still the Queen of England. The head of Commonwealth. So we still have her on our coins, and here she is in 2021. And we can see that it's quite a lot different. She's aging with the coins, which is kind of fun, isn't it? So that is heads and tails. We'll see a head on our coins and we'll see a tail. Okay, interesting, isn't it? Good listening too. Let's have a think about what we can see as a difference too. We can see that we've got a gold colour and a silver colour. The gold ones are dollars, $1 and $2. I might say 100 cents or 200 cents. Okay, now let's not get confused about their sizes because next we need to put them in value. Okay, so what have we got here? What is the least in value? I think you can see the least might be 5 cents. And the most, $2 or 200 cents. So we have the least and the most. Let's think about where the rest will fit. Okay, 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents, $1 or 100 cents, and there we have the $2 or 200 cents. So here we have it in order. Interesting, the sizes, aren't they? Because we have a smaller coin here than these 3 or 4. So we actually have the 2 smaller coins at the ends, don't we? Okay, so let's have one last look at our special coins, because we can find some that commemorate different things. So I can see here are some interesting ones here that look a little bit different, and they are commemorating different celebrations or events that we have in Australia. Sometimes we can find ones that celebrate the Year of the Child, firefighters. Sometimes we find the Aboriginal flag, or we have ones that recently are celebrating our frontline workers, such as ambulance drivers. So coins are very interesting once you start looking at all the detail and how they work. What about our notes? Let's have a quick look at our notes. We've had some recent upgrades to our notes, and I think we can see that we've got some beautiful colours here, lots of things to describe, and lots of people and places to look at. But first of all, let's have a look at something they all have in common, which is this lovely top to bottom strip. Okay, now that's a pretty special top to bottom strip, because what we can see here are lots of things. If we move it, we can see lots of things within that. And that's been made for a couple of reasons. It's helped us to celebrate what we hold important in Australia. It's to do with security. So they're very hard to make these notes and pretend we have these notes. And it's made of a very special material, a bit like a plastic. It's called polymer. And so they're very hard to rip or tear. So we have some pretty special notes in Australia. Something incredibly special that you may not have noticed is if I feel along this note, I can feel some dots. And this is to help people who are visually impaired to work out what note they're holding, because I think you can see they're very similar in size. They do have different colours, but if I can't see very well, I won't be able to know which note I'm holding. So that's a very special part of our Australian money, is I can feel along here and find the dots, which will tell me what note that is. Okay, so let's have a think about who we see. Who are these people we see on our Australian notes? And this is the one I'd like to show you, the $50 note. So we have a very important person on this side of the $50 note, David Unipon. Now, David Unipon was born almost 100 years ago in South Australia, and he is a Ngarrindjeri man, an Indigenous Aboriginal man. And he was very famous as a writer, a public speaker, an inventor, and he was very interested in supporting our Indigenous people. So that's why he's an important person on our $50 note. On the other side, you'll see an important lady. Now, this is Edith Cowan, and she was born in Western Australia almost 100 years ago. And she's an important person because she was a social worker. She looked after people and cared for them. She was a politician, and she was very interested in women's rights and protecting children. So we value all of those things, so much so that they are on our $50 notes. So why do we have notes when we already have coins? Well, let's think about that. Why do we have notes when we already have coins? Well, what is $50? What is $50? It's 50 of those, isn't it? $51. I don't think I could carry $51. Let's have a think about what 20 is. It would be how many $2 coins? Well done, mathematicians. It would be 10 of these, and they might rattle around in my purse or my pocket. So the reason why we have notes is they are greater value. And it's easier to transfer and move around. Now, let's think about why we don't see these notes and coins so often anymore. Do you have an answer for that? I do. Because we have something wonderful called electronic transfer. We have money in our banks and we can access that via a card or our phone. And you might see grown-ups doing that as well, where we don't really have too much money anymore. We have electronic transfer. Something else you might have noticed is if you've been to another country or you have a friend that's been to another country, you may know, that's right, there's different money in different countries. Okay, so that's something else to consider. You might have some different coins from different countries that you can look at too. Okay, so let's have a look at the money symbols. So we can see what it looks like here. And thank you, I do have these in order, don't I? So we have a $5 has the least value. It's just like our number system. 5, 10, 20, and 50. We'd put that in order, wouldn't we? So let's have a look how we write money down, what we write down when we're thinking about money. So let's have a quick look at the money symbols. If I'm looking at coins, I'll be talking about cents, and I'll be writing a C or a C with a line through it. Now that line can be diagonal or it can be vertical. Normally I see it like this, 50 with a C, 50 cents. And if I'm going to write down my notes, I would write it in dollars, and I would use a sign that looks like this. Maybe it's an S with a line through that. Maybe that's how you could practice it to start with. And sometimes I see a decimal point that sits on the line, which will tell me what this number is. Can you say that number? This money number is $4, here's the decimal point, and 50 cents. $4.50. So I don't say dollars for, I say $4.50. So today we looked at Australian coins and notes, and we had a look at the features and who's on them and what do we see and why. And we were able to put them in order of value, from the least value to the most value. Right, time for you to be an Australian money detective. So hopefully you can find some coins or some notes, or you could look them up on your computer and have a think about what you see when you see this money. What are the details that we can take from that? So you might be able to fill a couple of pages in your learning book about what you found out about Australian money as an Australian money detective. So let's have a look at a quick example. You might have found out that all coins are round except for the 50 cent, and I wonder what that shape is. You might draw one of the animals that you can see on a coin. You might have to think about what colour the notes are. Describe those colours. You might find another famous person. If you look carefully, you'll find Banjo Patterson. You might think about what you see in that lovely top and bottom part of our notes. What can you see, and can you move them around to see them? And something that I found quite fascinating is have a look at the dates. How many dates can you find on the back of our Australian coins? What's the oldest one and what's the newest one? Can you find any special coins? So enjoy being a money detective, and I will hopefully see you at our next lesson. Bye for now.